Welcome back to my channel. This is a reading for the first 2 weeks of April, and this will be for Libra. So if you were able to watch the March video, it seems like a lot of the clarifiers have also come out in this reading as well. So to me, the two of them do very much connect. So I'll go through and give a general idea, synopsis of what I'm seeing here, and then we'll flesh it out as we go through again. The ones that I have above here are the main cards out, and then we also have clarifiers further down, and I did kind of pull out some of the ones here, which these ones definitely apply to the March reading as well. So for the moment, just because I'm running out of space here and I'm always on the go, I just want to pull these sort of out of the way here, and then I'll get back to those. So again, this is a general read. Won't speak to all of you, but if it resonates for you, take what you feel is useful in your instance. And I will just mention here as well that a lot of the cards that I have pulled do seem to be very positive cards. So I feel like in April there is something that's going to be changing in your favor overall. So just to start out, Eight of Wands is a card oftentimes of communication or something very quickly coming through, can be very passionate sort of nature and all of that. We also have the Sun card, could be dealing with a child or something along that line, or children, but there is definitely a happy sort of omen around all of this, and it is a major arcana, so that is the predominant energy in the first 2 weeks. So it feels like there's a sense of optimism coming in the first 2 weeks of April. The Nine of Wands, I feel like you're kind of worn out because it is clarified, of course, by the Hermit. So I feel like you're really, you're still contemplating some additional moves here in the month of April, but it does feel like there's a sense of fatigue that's setting in there. The Hierophant is definitely things that are in around commitments, long-term commitments, and certainly there is something in around a long-term commitment from the past with the Six of Cups that's coming through here as well. But it definitely speaks to, things of that nature where you could be dealing with an old job that you've, had done in the past, or you're considering or reconsidering something that you like to do from the past that is still relevant here. But it is definitely something that is a very structured sort of energy in around the first 2 weeks. So I do feel like there's moral high ground here, there is structure, and there's definitely it could be also dealing with government, or dealing with anything that is sort of corporate in nature or something along that line. I say that as well, but I feel for the most part a lot of this is definitely dealing with some aspects around money for sure, and long-term commitments. And children do seem to be sort of playing out in this read as well, because we do have the Sun card. We also have the Fool in reverse, but because it's coupled with the Magician, to me that sort of looks as though there is something that you're a little reluctant to move on, even though there is still a lot of energy around, taking some, like you have an optimistic view of the situation, and there is some kind of quick, incoming help or communication, especially with that Six of Pentacles card here as well. The Six, of course, is all around creating balance as well. So again, there's a lot of sense of there being a real... Internally, you might be feeling a little bit cut off from some of the optimism, even though you are feeling more optimistic in the direction that you're going, but there's a sense of reserve around that. And of course, the King of Swords is you coming through in the reading. So again, I feel ultimately you are feeling happier about the scenario that takes place in the first 2 weeks, but it still looks or feels as though there's a lot more energy that will be sorry, my throat these days, is going to have to be committed to, especially with the Hermit energy. There's a sense of withdrawing. There is some degree of connection again here to the past that does seem to be relevant in terms of possibly making some kind of a decision, or there could be some kind of help that's coming in through something from the past. But either way, there is some money that's coming in here in the first 2 weeks of April. Again, the Fool energy with the Magician does still indicate that there is going to be some sense of holding, wanting to move forward, a lot of energy around something that you're trying to manifest here, but the energy that you're still stuck in is right now it's at the Fool stage. So again, this is not wanting to take action on a particular plan, could be a long-term commitment, not wanting to take action on an idea that is maybe generated from the past here that you're, and it's not that you don't want to, because the Fool is really a card of wanting an adventure, but for some reason there's a sense of reluctancy. And again, it could be that you're still just feeling a little bit too tired or drained to be able to kind of deal with maybe the routine that's required to sort of bring about something that is going to require a fair amount of commitment, because the Hierophant is a card of commitment for sure. Okay, so we'll kind of get right into this. As I say, we'll break it down a little bit, even a little bit further. But the Eight of Wands, like I mentioned, eights for sure are still, these are all really balanced numbers, balanced cards. So like I said, I don't feel like there's anything that's going to be, overtly an issue in this period, other than there is some sense that you're a little worn down. And with the Hermit energy, I feel like, you're either seeking some kind of inner knowledge, or you're, putting yourself out there on a spiritual level to sort of kind of restore yourself at a deeper level, and again, that could come in the form of tarot, or again, anything that's related to things that will help you to search for deeper truth. But again, spirituality is very strong with that card, and it definitely feels like it is kind of tying up loose ends as well, because it is near the Nine of Wands. So that is a card of almost to the finish before moving ahead with a particular project or something that is, you're trying to make a decision about here. And it does look like you are contemplating something in around that, so in around a significant decision. So, and again, it just feels like you're taking some distance from something in particular, or from others, just to help grow yourself a little bit and restore some of this energy and bring some wisdom in to help you, figure out how you're going to go forward in this situation. So again, this could be in around student teacher sort of energy as well. So there could be someone that is coming through here that could also be relevant to helping you to strengthen your beliefs or get clear in a particular area how to move forward. But either way, it feels like you're sort of coming out of the darkness in all of this energy here, because again, lots of energy around optimism. Certainly you are going a little bit deeper in the next 2 weeks because you're just tired of some kind of overwhelm or battles that you've had to face, but you are benefiting from this solitary pursuit, and certainly from this learning on a spiritual level, because it is helping you to to kind of shift your perspective and allow you that sense of intuition that you need to be able to show you that your goals are within your reach. You just need to figure out maybe the next steps here, because like I said, you're a little bit worn out here with the Hermit energy. Again, the major arcana for sure is the Sun here, and we definitely have the Hierophant. So these are really big players. You're feeling very optimistic, I would say, about the future, and certainly about higher learning. And you may very well have to commit to higher learning. So there is the card of the Temperance. As I mentioned, I showed up earlier here. Again, there's sort of more clarifying energy, so you're still not quite into that level of empowerment, but things are still coming through. There is going to be some money, I feel, that's coming through here, as I said, with that Six of Pentacles, and it's coming in at a pretty rapid rate in the first 2 weeks of April, because that Eight of Wands does indicate that you have a sense of action, and even though you're reevaluating your options or evaluating your options here, again, I feel is based on whatever is coming in that first week, and this is likely in around the second week that you're going a little deeper about how to, go forward with something, and maybe it's about how the money will be applied in a particular area. But either way, you're trying to figure out what your options are and that next level, because that's what the eights are really all about. So again, with the six, I mean, that's still, there's two of them here, and again, they're clarifiers. Six of Cups, Six of Pentacles, help probably from something as well in relation to the past, or it could be not just a past person, but also could be in around something that is relevant to the past. That could be even a government agency, something along that line that also comes through here. But the six is for sure around balance and triumph over challenges. but you are feeling a sense of relaxation or satisfaction in some area here. So when we're talking about the wands, it is more action oriented, and as I mentioned before, we have both the Eight of Wands as well as the Nine of Wands. So there is a progression there. So again, I feel like there's a bit of burnout that you're sort of dealing with here, but the Eight of Wands is things sort of speeding up for you. So it's an end of stagnation. If things were not kind of moving in some direction, know that you're now approaching that goal a little more quickly here, because again, you are almost to the 9 here, which is almost to the 10, and it looks like with a little bit of education or a little bit of study or a little bit of introspection, you're going to be able to figure out how best to broaden your horizons and move on these new ideas or projects, whatever it is for you. So, I mean, in terms of romance and those kinds of things, there could be some kind of young, youthful energy here that's coming in that helps to sort of regenerate you. But it does feel like there's a sense of being revitalized, and maybe even sort of, feeling a sense of renewal in a particular area, lots of passion that could be also sort of in this first couple of weeks, but it is still things speeding up. So emotionally, I feel like you're coming into a rapid space of, feeling on top of the world again, and just feeling a lot more like things are, your challenges and your determination, your determination to face those challenges is really what you've been using, is that reserve to face those challenges, is I guess the best way I can put that. So even though, like I said, though there's been a lot of final tests kind of in this period, and there still may be with you being at the Nine of Wands, just know that you are still on track here. Because you know what you have, you're acting from a place of high energy, optimism. So this is going to be the best way to overcome these obstacles, is to stay positive as well. So it is also about, needing some breathing room here. Like I said, with that Nine of Wands and the Hermit, it feels like you are just wanting to, things are kind of heating up here, even on an emotional level in terms of a long-term relationship. But I just feel like you're feeling a little suspicious of others at this time, or at least maybe even in just this particular relationship situation. It just feels like there is some level of endurance that's really required to kind of get through the next 2 weeks here, because I feel like you're just feeling a little burned out, a little defensive. But as I said, I mean, overall, there is a progression from the 8 to the 9. So there's a sense you're you might have been a little unfocused, but I feel like you're refocusing here with the Nine of Wands and that Hermit energy. So you could have some the card does sort of speak to small irritations around the throat area, immune system, fatigue, that kind of thing as well. But even spiritually, like I said, I feel like the deeper matters are really what are kind of your overall energy to be able to move into this space of knowledge, so that you can prepare to go forward. Because right now you're not quite ready to move forward. You are taking still some time, like I say, to advance yourself with the Hierophant and learn the process of what it is that you need to get to something, or get something completed. But overall, you're still in a place of the past where you're trying to kind of emerge stronger with, rethinking the past as well, is what I would say. But there's a lot of, even in terms of an emotional situation, there's a lot of chemistry that's still here. Although, as I say, albeit it's a little bit, there's, some positive energy here, but you're just sort of a little on the fence here about something. So, like I say, the 9s do indicate that you're pretty much closer to the next stage of a cycle, so that you're, going to be completing a cycle in its entirety. But the first 2 weeks of April, don't tell me that you've finished that yet. It just means that you're pretty close to it, though. So again, we've got the Six of Cups energy, still dealing with thoughts of the past, could be an old idea. sorry, that you're revisiting in terms of a relationship, or just in terms of, you know, you being very nostalgic about a long-term commitment here as well. So again, this is still energy about wanting to kind of move something ahead, but just not quite there yet. So we'll go back into the Sun card, because as I say, I mean, the Sun is definitely it's a place in the mind where you've just got a lot more optimism. You know where you're headed, you know, or at least you feel like you've got a lot more, you know, light at the end of the tunnel to be able to see where things are going now. So this is a sense that you have some emotional commitment, although, and there's, you know, overall, I feel like you're still reining it in. You might be feeling this immediate excitement, you know, a little excitement right away, and then it feels like you kind of rein it in, you know, fairly soon after. So even though there's some sense that there's earnings that are going to increase, like something's coming through for, again, general read is just the energy around you. It's not predictions, but it's energy around you that you can work with. But I do feel like there is something up ahead here that is going to make life a little easier for you, especially in this first 2 weeks, because it's a positive outcome to some kind of current struggle, especially from the March sort of area. We do, and of course, like further out, there's also the Nine of Cups, and I'll get right into those as well, and the Judgment card is sort of in there too. So like I said, there's a lot that's kind of playing out here in the next 2 weeks, even though the major energy is that you're optimistic, and there's definitely some kind of either corporate energy, new job, or something that, it doesn't feel like new job necessarily, but it feels like you might be taking a leap of faith into a new direction, or something that's different from what you're currently doing, but you're just not ready to do that quite yet, because like I said, that Fool is reversed here. So you're not really quite ready for this fresh start, new beginning, or whatever, you know, but there is definitely some kind of improvement in terms of your finances, because it is making you feel quite a bit happier, and there's a certain level of contentment that comes through with all the energies of these cards. Magician for sure, further out, but it is just a clarifier, but it is something that is going to grow in around this new beginning that you're not quite ready to take, but you will be moving ahead with. As I said, the Magician definitely is somebody who's able to use all their skills and has the ability to, you know, use everything on the table there. Like the emotions are balanced, you've got the skill to communicate, you have a certain sense of knowledge is power. All of that sort of comes into play. It comes into play, and you're able to construct, you know, some form of strategy so that you can, you know, explore how to get to your dreams or take the next step into this new beginning. So it is really getting things organized, is what I would say there, because the Fool is a little bit more along the lines of being unorganized, but there is still some sense of a spark that's coming through, and you're using old skills in a new way. But definitely something from the past that is relevant here that will help to move something ahead. So again, that Magician card is really a very positive one. So I think this is going into the next month, you know, probably closer into either the last 2 weeks of April or into May. Again, this is still somebody who, again, it's just a general read. So you have to remember the Magician is a pretty big player. So I feel like it's not going to just resonate in 1 month. It's going to, you know, operate a little further out, but it definitely has a higher level of thinking. It, you know, the Magician knows how to grow things. It is somebody who, you know, functions at a higher level and certainly rises to the challenge, and that's where you're at. You are going to rise to the challenge, but you are taking a little bit of time to sort of pull back before you jump right in here. So there is sort of a kind of a sense of recapturing a spark in a relationship here as well, but again, feeling a little reluctant to move in a particular direction. Even though it's still looking like in this next 2 week period, it's still fairly positive for you, but it is a sense that you will have the energy of the Fool here to sort of, you know, eventually, even though it's in reverse right now, you will have the energy of the Fool, which is still in a chaotic sort of space, to sort of bring things into, you know, synchronicity and organize things at a deeper level. So you'll be able to direct things and create things, you know, once you are able to go through this evaluation period. Again, something along the lines of you know, you being a wise teacher or somebody coming in, or you're, you know, to give you some kind of instruction or help out in some way, or again, you're just clearing up problems or difficulties or whatever, just because you're, you know, watching more YouTube videos, expanding your knowledge base, something along that line. But there is some form of guidance that does come through in the next 2 weeks. So that is going to help you to break free and move ahead in the, you know, further out into April or May. And again, you don't all make decisions on the same day, so for sure this is energy that is going to play out differently for all of you. So your timelines are all different. So again, it's difficult to really put a date and time stamp on anything, because the timeline is so very different. You're all making decisions based on whatever, you know, whatever obstacles or whatever options are available to you at that time, and they won't be the same for all of you at the same time. So anyway, it is still, you know, letting you know that things will become knowable here soon after April, and just to remain open, but also you know, you're not fully informed of your goings on, like how to move forward with this old idea or this spark of, you know, a new direction. You're not quite sure how that path is going to open up for you yet, but you still have, you know, like I say, a lot of ability to achieve what you want here. So, okay, so well, even with the King of Swords, I do feel like you're in a place where you can communicate a lot clearer. I feel like it's a really logical space that you're operating from here this month, just because it's more of an empowering sort of card combination, I would say, with that energy of the Sun and the King of Swords. The King is definitely somebody who's, you know, kind of moved beyond the pages, obviously, so you're really in a space where you're feeling pretty content with who you are, and there's a certain sense of strong intellect that comes into play here. You know, just really strong beliefs, and, you know, you're wanting to be quite fair. You are coming from a very moral place here in the next 2 weeks, so whatever decisions you make is going to, you know, help you to operate from a very clear position. There's not a lot of energy around being, you know, overly scattered, just more worn down, and because of the worn down, maybe there's a lot of projects that are still sort of unfinished here with that Fool energy. But I do feel like, you know, you're just, as I say, emotionally, you're coming from a very direct sense of communication. You know, you're not really, I don't feel like you're compromising in any particular way here. I don't feel like you're being stubborn or anything. There's just a lot of, you know, direct moral sort of energy here. Again, even in terms of health, tension, neck and shoulder area could also be relevant here as well. But still in a very strong position, like I said, because this is still King of Swords energy. So there's some standards that come into play with this card, and I do feel like it's a sense of empowerment. So for sure, this is still in around Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius that's coming through that you could be dealing with here also. But again, the main energy is still the Sun. So Leo might also be very strongly relevant here, as well as Taurus for some of you. Those are the main energies. This is more of a sideline, you know, that you are weighing things out carefully, but you are definitely feeling a lot more energetic and a lot happier right off the bat coming into the month. So I do feel like this is a time, like I said, where you feel a lot more prosperous with whatever this news is that's coming in. And again, it does feel like there's money attached to it, because the Six of Pentacles is definitely pretty, it's not a huge significant amount of money, but it definitely speaks to having some money to put towards something here, because you're getting some kind of assistance, and it definitely is, you know, harmony and balance that comes through with the 2 sixes. So that is still energy that is you know, where you're able to put that money into something, is what I would say. Because when I see the 6 of Pentacles, I feel like the money is going into something specific, because you do have, it's coming in from something specific. Could very well be government related here with the Hierophant, or again, something that is more structured or corporate or something along that line, but it's definitely still around energy of an exchange. that is going to help you to kind of advance forward here a little bit, because it does make you happy. So I'm going to go into the last cards here and I will get on with it. Okay, so the next cards out. Again, these were more sort of the secondary cards out. You've completed some huge cycle, and again, that was in March, so this is where it's coming through. Again, it's further out, so this is probably the last 2 weeks of April, is what I would say is this energy here. You know, where you're finally getting some kind of a judgment in a situation. 2 tens, you're wrapping up a cycle. You're pretty much over something considerable. Hanging on to money, not really letting things go here with the 4 of Pentacles, but definitely significant abundance, though, further out. So it looks like that money is going into something specific that is related around a legacy project, and it is going to make you happy. So it does feel like the money is a little further out, or at least you're applying it in such a way that you will benefit from it so that you can expand that money, because the 4 of Pentacles is still hanging on to something so that you can, you know, like I said, in a way that is oriented around family, but it's still money that is going to be grown here, because it does go from the 6, we've got the 4, the 6, again, still further out though, and then it moves up to the 10. So, and then it does make you happy. So this is wish fulfillment in some area of your life that you were trying to direct yourself, because the 9 of Cups, like I said, is where you're feeling abundant. You feel like you're on top of the world, and there certainly is some sense that family is involved here, or at least there's a legacy project. Definitely feels like there is some wish coming true, but it's something that I feel that you have manifested in some way, like you've actually put some action behind it, and you also put some intention behind it to be able to create this. Because the 9 of Cups is still trusting your luck, and it's definitely where you're able to, you know, get past the 10 of Wands. So many Wands here, you know, even though these are sort of further out, but again, 10 of Wands, 10 of Swords, there's a lot of kind of burnout energy here where I just feel like you're so ready for this change. You're so ready for some kind of change in your life, and I feel like that's about to start taking place. The 10 of Pentacles, like I said, is a card that's sort of further out here, but there is a level of expansion that needs to happen first with that 4 of Pentacles. You're hanging on to it. So in the month of April, probably the last 2 weeks with this energy, I feel like that's where you're contemplating where to put the money, or where to invest it, or how to make it grow, you know, how to get focused on you know, creating more of a wish fulfillment, you know, and not just a wish fulfillment. I believe this is something you've been contemplating for some time, because it's, you know, a lot of 9s here, a lot of end cycle cards. So I feel like you're trying to create some kind of job security, or some kind of, you know, some ability to sort of sense that you've made it in some way, you know, and there is some kind of risk that's, you know, required here, and you're not quite in that space yet, but I just feel like you will be traveling into that space once you decide, you know, where you're going to put this money from the 4 of Pentacles here. And again, I feel like further out, it is going to grow to a substantial amount of money. But right now, I feel like you're just trying to concentrate on the immediate gains, and how to advance it with the 4 of Pentacles. Because the 4 of Pentacles to me is, you know, you're not sure on exactly, you're a little closed off emotionally, as well as financially, like just kind of clinging on to a situation. But overall, I feel like you will be able to grow this money, because there's too many cards that are more positive to balance it all out. So you might be a little miserly here, just afraid to repeat any old patterns, that kind of thing. But it definitely still feels like you're establishing some, or you want to establish some kind of firm footing in around your family, or in around your home base. And I do feel like you are trying to build the knowledge level around it with that Hierophant, you know, before committing to any sense of direction. So again, you're just trying to act on whatever it is that's going to give you the most sense of meaning. And it does feel like it's related to the past. And I just feel like you're going to really be able to grow this money, or grow some level of your skill base possibly here as well with that Hierophant. that is requiring some form of money. So anyway, that's what I have for you, and that'll be the first 2 weeks of April. Like I said, the latter cards here are really around the end of April, I would say. Some of you, it might go into May, but it definitely feels like you are growing something here. The first energies out, though, as I said, were in around quick communication of some sort that's coming through here. Definitely even on an emotional level, but either way, you're feeling a lot more optimistic and hopeful. Still some cards, like I say, and around being defensive, not really quite sure how you want to orient yourself with that Nine of Wands. I mean, because it does still pull you into a space of protecting your, you know, your area, protecting your vision, I guess, as well. Maybe not being all of that communicative about something here, but it is a place of contemplation, and for sure it still feels like you're just kind of discovering your missing links here with the Hierophant. You know, you're coming into this space where you're trying to figure out, reevaluate, you know, how you can prioritize things to advance it in some way. But I feel like it's even sudden flashes of inspiration that's coming through there. You know, it could also indicate that there is some form of action that you're contemplating, but I don't feel like it's going to take place in this month. It feels like you're kind of in the space of deliberating, you know, what to do here with that Hierophant sort of energy. Again, when you kind of go back to that Eight of Wands and the, you know, the energy of, well, actually, I would say just the 8 and the 9 is, I guess, sort of the predominant energies. I would say that you're still in a place of getting ready to move on something, like I said, because you're at the 9. So the Hierophant is still that card, again, next to the Magician, which is still further out. The Magician is still in that place of realizing your own potential, but you have to have a willingness to go forward. You're not quite there yet. You're not quite ready to focus on the goal. You still have the intention in your head here. It still feels like you're in a place of figuring out what abilities you can bring to the table, you know, before you sort of jump in and move ahead with this. So again, the Hierophant is the big player here, though, because it just feels like there's a lot of study or something still involved here that has to take place before you jump right in there. So again, it's also a card of protection. So I feel in this month, or at least this first 2-week period, there's a lot of protection around you. And I definitely feel like, you know, there's higher values, as I mentioned. A certain sense of stability is also coming through in this month. I don't feel like you're chaotic in any sense. In the month of April, I feel like you feel stable. Could be, again, dealing with an institution of some sort, could be, you know, a school situation, but either way, it's a very traditional way of operating this month. Could be dealing also with a Cancer as well, that's coming through, but I just feel like you're using a lot of reason to sort of analyze your next move ahead here. So again, you're relying on some kind of institution or some kind of knowledge or a path to knowledge, because again, you have the Hermit down here as well. That is going to be what's going to advance you in this month. That is going to be creating a lot more of the stability. So yeah, but I do feel, like I said, I feel like you're, again, some of you might be, you know, relying on a teacher or some kind of faith or something like that to kind of bring you through a situation. But overall, I just feel like you have a lot of reciprocated energy, even from people of the past that could be coming in here as well, that are helping you to advance or give you advice to be able to promote yourself. But it's just a very conservative way of operating this month. As I said, I just feel like you're just looking at your future, and you're trying to be wise in the way that you advance yourself. I don't feel that you're repressed in any way. I just feel like you are using an established way of doing things, you know, to kind of mediate or find the middle ground here to be able to go into this new pathway, even though, as I say, you're not quite ready for it yet, but you soon will be. So, and again, the overall energy is the Sun, and for sure, super optimistic, super, you know, there is a level of energy that is still here. It's almost kind of like a nervous energy in a sense. But it's a certain level of excitement that comes through with the Sun card. So, like I said, I feel like you're really in a place where you have, I feel like you will have some connection to somebody in the past, as I said, that's also going to come through here and kind of help you along the way in some area. Because, as I said, we did have the card of Judgment. I'm just trying to find the card here again. I was sure that was in here. Oh, there it is. Yeah, so you did have the card of Judgment as well that's coming in here. And, I mean, for sure that energy is one of high value as well. So when you're looking at that card, again, it's further out, but there's a sense of awakening to something, awakening to this call. You know, and it is sort of karmic in nature, so it could be somebody from the past, a karmic relationship as well. Again, it's still sort of further out with this particular card, but it is still something that is transforming and it is going to be coming about. But there's some deeper level of knowledge that you need to sort of pass through to be able to understand your position and then be able to go forward. But like I said, it's something that might have been resurrected from the past that is sort of that you're dealing with at this time, that's been a real burden and, you know, been a lot of conflict around it. But either way, I still feel like you're at some kind of a turning point here, and you might be using some old traditions to kind of renew yourself here as well with the Hierophant. And again, even with the Hermit that was here, you know, that could be an old friend that's coming back as well. You know, because you are dealing with a lot of things from the past here. So I feel like this is really something very instrumental around a person anyway, for sure. That's, sorry, just had to adjust the car. Yeah, but it just feels like there's a sense of feeling renewed in some way here. And I just feel like you are going to be into a whole new timeline yourself, you know, coming into the summer months. So like I said, lot to look forward to here. And that's what I have for you, Libra, for the first 2 weeks of April. And yeah, so keep moving forward, never give up, and I'll talk to you in the latter half of April.